Every April, gardeners plant the same lavender, the same rudbeckia, the same cone flower, and every April their garden looks the same. What if I told you there are 8 perennials that bloom this exact month in colors so violent, so unreasonably beautiful, that your neighbors will stop their cars to ask what on earth you've planted? You haven't seen these on any other channel. Let's fix your April garden. 1. Pulsatilla vulgaris, basket flower before the leaves. Before anything else in the garden has decided it's safe to appear, this plant rises from bare soil in a coat of pure silver fur and opens into the deepest violet purple you have ever seen on a living flower. Not lavender purple, not mauve, gemstone purple, as if someone carved an amethyst into a cup and gave it a heartbeat. The pasque flower, Pulsatilla vulgaris, is April's most dramatic opening act. And what happens when the flowers drop? It doesn't go bare. It produces feathery, platinum seed heads that spin in the April wind like silver fireworks frozen mid-explosion. This plant performs for months. Most people have never heard of it. Full sun, gritty, alkaline, fast-draining soil. Think chalky hillside, not rich border. Drought-tolerant once established. Hardy in zones 4 to 8. Critical warning, Pulsatilla hates being transplanted. Plant it young in its final home and then simply leave it alone. Pro tip, grow it in a raised bed or wall crevice to guarantee drainage. The #1 killer of this plant is not cold. It is wet roots over winter. Solve the drainage problem, and Pulsatilla will outlive the garden itself. 2. Helleborus cross hybridus, double Ellen red, double hellebore. Most flowers announce themselves. This one makes you come to it. The double Ellen red hellebore produces flowers so full, 50 petals or more, that they look less like a perennial and more like a peony that bloomed 3 months early. And then it nods, its head downward as if it knows it is extraordinary and has decided not to perform for casual observers. You have to tilt the stem to see it properly. Deep burgundy crimson, fully double, impossibly lush, in April, from a plant that asks almost nothing of you. The foliage is evergreen. It looks good every single month of the year. But in April, when those nodding jewel red flowers appear above the dark leaves, it becomes something else entirely. Dappled shade to part sun, rich, humus-heavy, moisture-retentive soil, drought-tolerant once established, evergreen foliage year-round, zones 5 to 9. One annual task in January, cut all the old leaves off at the base. It looks brutal. It is the best thing you can do for this plant. Pro tip, plant it on a slope, a bank, or a raised position, anywhere the flowers naturally angle toward a viewer below. The nodding habit is not a flaw. It is an invitation. Position the plant so you accept it. 3. Totally Tangerine, Avens. If you could bottle the feeling of a warm April afternoon and turn it into a flower, this is what it would look like. Gum, Totally. Tangerine produces semi-double flowers in a shade of apricot tangerine that stops making sense in good light. They sit on wiry stems 70 centimeters tall, moving constantly in the gentlest breeze, so the whole plant appears to hover, like a swarm of tropical butterflies that have agreed to stay in one place for the season. And here is the thing that most gardeners miss. It does not stop in April. Deadheaded consistently, and Totally Tangerine will still be flowering in August. Few perennials offer that kind of return on a single planting. Full sun to light shade, moist but well-drained soil, oprinkori. It does not want to sit in standing water. Divide every 3 years to maintain flowering vigor. Zones 5 to 9. Pro tip, deadhead religiously. Removing every spent flower triggers the next flush within 2 weeks. Leave them on, and bloom output drops by more than half. This is a plant that rewards attention. 4. Brunera, Macrophylla, Jack Frost, Siberian bugloss. Shade gardeners are often told to accept less. Less color, less drama, less of everything that makes a garden worth looking at. Brunera Jack Frost is a direct refusal of that idea. The leaves are harsh-shaped and almost entirely silver. Every vein, every surface rendered in metallic white, as if the plant was designed by a silversmith rather than evolved in a Siberian forest. In April, tiny electric blue flowers appear above the foliage in a hovering mist, pure forget-me-not blue, jewel bright, impossible to ignore. The flowers last weeks. The silver leaves last the entire growing season. This is not a plant that makes do in shade. This is a plant that transforms it. Part shade to full shade. Moist, humus-rich soil. Slug-resistant. This is important for shade plantings where slugs are usually a significant problem. Virtually zero maintenance once established. Zones 3 to 8. Pro tip: plant it directly beneath a dark-leaved shrub or under a tree canopy. The silver leaves act as natural reflectors. They visually amplify every scrap of available light in the shadiest corner of your garden. 5. Iris sibirica, Caesar's brother, Siberian iris. There are irises that droop, irises that sulk in the wrong soil, irises that require dividing every other year and still manage to look ordinary. And then there is Iris sibirica, Caesar's brother. Deep violet-purple flowers, the purple of a storm front moving over the sea. On upright stems that stand 90 centimeters tall and do not require staking. The foliage is narrow, sword-like, architectural. It looks good before it blooms. It looks good after it blooms. And unlike bearded irises, it does not care about perfect drainage, does not need fussing, and will spread slowly into a dense, weed-suppressing clump that gets more impressive every year. This is the iris that earns its place in a serious garden. Full sun to part shade, moist to moderately wet soil. It tolerates boggy conditions that would kill most perennials. Virtually no division needed for years. Does not require staking. Zones 3 to 8. Pro tip: grow it beside water if you have it. A pond edge, a stream margin, a rain garden. Siberian iris reflected in still water in April is one of the great free pleasures of the garden calendar. 6. Trollius cross cultorum alabaster, globe flower. Most April flowers are flat. Discs, daisies, open cups. Trollius alabaster produces something different, a perfect sphere. Creamy primrose yellow, every petal curving inward to form a globe that looks as though it has been blown from warm glass and placed on a stem. At dusk, and this is important, it appears to glow. There is a luminosity to this cultivar in low light that is genuinely difficult to explain and absolutely worth planning around. It is barely known. You will not find it at a garden center. You will need to seek it out. That is precisely the point. Full sun to part shade, moist to boggy soil. It genuinely thrives where other plants struggle. This is a plant for the wet corner of the garden that usually has nothing in it. Divide every 3 to 4 years, zones 3 to 7. Pro tip: plant it where late afternoon sun strikes the flowers directly from the side or behind. The backlit translucency of those globe petals is the entire reason to grow this plant. Position it for that moment and it will pay you back every April for the rest of your gardening life. 7. Euphorbia caracea's subspecies. Wolfeni, Mediterranean spurge. Every list needs a plant that makes all the other plants look better. Euphorbia caraceus, Wolfeni, is that plant. It does not produce a flower in any conventional sense. What it produces in April are enormous domed heads of chartreuse lime, a yellow so electric, so architecturally precise, that the border reorganizes itself around it. The stems are upright, blue-gray, dramatic. The overall effect is less like a garden plant and more like a sculpture that has decided to put on a color show. Put a burgundy hellebore beside it. Put a violet iris behind it. Put any dark, rich, saturated color near it, and that color will suddenly become 3 times more visible. Euphorbia is not the star of April. It is a reason the other stars shine. Full sun, poor, dry, well-drained soil, the opposite of rich. It thrives on neglect, extremely drought-tolerant, perfect for a hot, dry, difficult spot. Zones 7 to 11, important. Wear gloves when cutting it back after flowering. The white sap causes serious skin burns and eye irritation. Pro tip: position it where 3 sightlines in the border converge. One well-placed euphorbia changes the geometry of an entire planting. It is a structural decision as much as a plant choice. 8. Aquilegia vulgaris, black barlow, double, columbine. We end with darkness, Aquilegia. Black barlow produces fully double flowers in a shade of blackish purple that has no real name in ordinary color language. Not purple, not navy, not wine. Something deeper than all of them. A color that appears to pull light inward rather than reflect it. There are no spurs, which is what makes it unusual among columbines. Just layer upon layer of dark, incurving petals arranged in a pom-pom so dense it seems impossible for something this color to be this delicate. Plant it beside pale companions, silver brunnera, cream tulips, white allium, and it becomes the most dramatic thing in the garden. Let it self-seed into a gravel path and it becomes unforgettable. This is a plant people will ask about. Every single year, full sun to part shade. Fertile, well-drained soil, short-lived as an individual plant, typically 3 to 4 years, but self-seeds freely and reliably. Let it seed into gravel between paving, stones at the base of walls. Each generation will produce slight variations. That is part of the appeal. Zones 3 to 8. Pro tip: allow self-seeding into pale gravel paths or stone paving. The contrast of near black flowers rising from pale stone in April is one of the most dramatic combinations in spring gardening, and it costs nothing once the first plant establishes. None of these plants cost a fortune. None of them will demand your weekends, but every single one of them will do something that most perennials, most gardens, never quite manage. They will make your garden feel genuinely, unmistakably yours, because nobody else planted them. If you want me to build you a complete April planting plan using all 8 of these together, which ones go beside which need shade, which want the dry corner, how to layer them so something is always blooming, leave a comment below. That is the next video. Subscribe so you don't miss it.